Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is December 24th. Happy Christmas Eve to everybody out here across the Pacific Northwest. Taking a look at the Doppler radar combo right now, you can see the strong frontal system moving into the area. There is actually flash flooding potential with this. A mesoscale discussion is out. Strong winds across the northwest interior. Cold air still trapped there in the Willamette Valley towards Portland. Very cold air trapped into eastern Washington. Freezing rain potential out there. Freezing rain potential across the passes as well as we get this easterly flow coming through the passes, reinforcing that cold air. Taking a look here a little bit closer, you can see that easterly flow here. Stronger winds up across the northwest interior, gusts over 50 miles per hour occurring this morning, and along the Washington, Oregon coast and some of the higher terrain. Now taking a look here, mid-level water vapor loop. Look at this system moving in, strong frontal system. Big storms off the Pacific, going to continue to rotate towards the Pacific Northwest coming up here, including a very deep low. Potential for a windstorm here across Pacific Northwest as we go on in through Monday night and Tuesday. We'll take a look at that coming up here in a moment. One more look at the ice accretion here across my home, half an inch. A lot of areas got over a tenth of an inch yesterday, and that's all it takes to make it a skating rink out there. You saw the car crashes out there and people slipping and falling out there. A day I won't soon forget for sure. And here's my anemometer I've been testing out there as well. Nice glaze of ice on it. Now here we're looking at Spokane National Weather Service. A nice graphic here. Snow generally north of the blue line, Omak, Colville, Sandpoint. Freezing rain, snow, sleet possible in the red with higher amounts of ice accretion possible in the hatched area. Rain and freezing rain down towards Lewiston. Great graphic here from the National Weather Service Spokane shown. This is Medford, Oregon. Strong frontal system is going to drive down Monday night into Tuesday here. High snow level, strong winds, very heavy rain, difficult travel conditions here. Great graphic here as well from Medford, Oregon National Weather Service. This is for today, calling for these high winds up here, or should I say strong winds. Gusts up over 50 miles per hour possible along the coast as well. Not too bad for the Puget Sound or down towards the I-5 corridor, but just blustery with that frontal system passage. Now taking a look here, this is the NAM3 cam, kind of shows some pretty strong winds up there, just highlighting the areas where these stronger winds are occurring along the coast, the northwest interior, and some of the higher terrain. It does show some pretty gusty winds with this frontal system passage across the I-5 corridor, but the European does not really show that too much, as you can see here, and we go forward a little bit more, just some high winds for the northwest interior, or strong winds, I should say again. Now taking a look here, this is a flash flood threat, mesoscale discussion here across some of western Washington next 4 to 6 hours. This is ongoing currently. It will end by about 1 or 2 p.m. today, but they are noticing this very heavy rainfall moving across the area with that strong frontal system today. So heads up for that. Clean any drains last minute if you can around your home, leaves, ice, etc. Now taking a look here, accumulated freezing rain. Look what comes for Washington Cascades here and some of the west slopes of the Cascades. Snoqualmie Pass, Stevens Pass, the Gorge, eastern Washington. Doesn't take much to make it a skating rink, guys, and it's very cold over there, so heads up for that. And you can see some additional accumulations all the way through Christmas here across portions of BC and eastern Washington as well. So watch out for that freezing rain event and don't travel across the passes unless you absolutely have to, guys. Now taking a look here at temperatures, look at the warm up coming. But first, let's take a look at this cold air trapped here at the surface here across the Willamette Valley. That should get scoured out today, but you can see eastern Washington, not so lucky. It's going to hang out all the way into tonight, into Sunday morning here. That's Christmas Day. But look at some of these warm temperatures coming up here through the Willamette Valley. 60s possible for some areas, up towards 50 western Washington, of BC into the 50s Washington coast there. So it's going to feel downright balmy. You can put your winter weather gear away for a day or two at least. Now taking a look across the Pacific, you can see the precipitable water and you can see the atmospheric rivers kind of moving around out there. So this is what's going to bring these rounds of precipitation into the region there. Kind of a prolonged looking one there as we go through Monday on into Tuesday, and that potential bigger storm here approaching the coastline that we're going to look at here in a moment. Now taking a look here, total precipitation. I'm going to scroll through this pretty fast here and you can see the big amounts could potentially go all the way down through California. Big totals across the higher terrain, even for Seattle, Portland, coastal range of Oregon, northeast Washington, the Idaho Panhandle, eastern BC as well, as we have a very active time coming up here with 3 significant frontal systems moving through the area as we go through Tuesday. Now taking a look here, the GFS on the right versus the European on the left, 18,000 feet, 500 millibars here. There goes today's frontal system going through the region now. Another one swing towards Vancouver Island here, but then on the heels of this one is the one we're really watching. Big low looks like it's going to develop somewhere close to the Vancouver Island, Washington, Oregon coast area there. Pretty good model agreement on its development. We don't know the impacts yet. There's many different scenarios it could play out still, depending on where that low tracks is going to determine who gets the highest winds out of the system. Now also looking at this, look at Whistler, going to spend some time above freezing all the way up into BC there. Mount Baker, same thing here. Look at this freezing line well above the pass level there for several days. And this is all the way down towards Mount Rainier, Crystal Mountain here as well. And you can see well above the pass there, or the pass areas down across the central and southern Cascades here. But this might put a dent in some of our snowpack that we've built up here over the last couple of weeks, and hopefully it doesn't exacerbate our flooding conditions here across Pacific Northwest. Now taking a closer look at what's coming up here. Here goes that initial system that moves north of Vancouver Island. Got the European on the left and the GFS on the right, the 06Z, last night's run. Now as we put this into motion more, you can see that deep low, good agreement between the European and the GFS on the right. And again, the track of this thing is going to mean everything as far as wind impacts, but it is casting a pretty strong gradient here on the southern side of this storm. Now we're looking at the Canadian here on the left and the GFS here on the right. Let's check it out. Put it into motion. There goes that first storm north of Vancouver Island. Actually, it would be the second storm if you include the one today. Then the big one comes here as we go on in through Tuesday morning here. You see the difference in the low position here. Slight differences in the track. Going to mean huge differences for places across the Pacific Northwest here. But a very strong gradient on the south side of the storm here. This one needs to be watched very closely here, and we will do that here over the next few days. This is Seattle-Tacoma precipitation amounts. You see the big totals today and then on through Monday night into Tuesday. Quileute, same thing there. Big signal coming up for some heavy precip. Brookings, Oregon, even getting the action as we go through tonight into tomorrow morning and on through early next week. Big precipitation signal coming down the Oregon coast here as we go on in through early next week. This is Astoria. You can see these winds starting to show up here in these ensemble runs. Gusty today, but nothing like what's potentially coming here as we go on in through Monday night into Tuesday. Once this gets consolidated, these values will probably go up and the mean will go up here, probably up over 50 miles per hour for a lot of the coastal regions. Quileute here, you can see the big winds showing up here as well. Seattle-Tacoma potential inland also. Some of these gusts are pretty nasty here, showing up in some of the ensemble runs, so we have to watch this closely, but still technically fantasy at this point. But we are getting close to starting to consolidate some of the potential impacts from this storm. Bellingham, you can see today's winds here, and then the potential for that windstorm on through early next week as well. Brookings, Oregon, you can see that frontal system. Look at the mean is well over 60 miles per hour there. You might want to start getting ready now down there across some of the Oregon coast. Now looking one more time, the precipitable water here, you can see that coming in, potential flooding today. Mainly nuisance, flash flooding, and urban flooding. It can be more than a nuisance, though, but then you can see the atmospheric river potentially coming in through early next week across the areas. A kind of prolonged period of precipitable water training over the Pacific Northwest here before that big low arrives. Excuse me. Now taking a look here at the European ensemble. Let's see what that is. Of course, this is the mean of all 50 ensembles that are perturbed a little bit. All their initial conditions are changed to try to correct for our errors, and then we average them out. And that's how we get that ensemble mean, shown by that M there. So put this into motion here, and you can see that big low pressure system here. This was last night's European run. Very good agreement here on the position of this low, according to the European. Coming up, this kind of classic windstorm spot here for western Washington, southwest BC, the Oregon-Washington coast as well. So we got to watch this one closely, folks, as this will be a nasty gradient on the south side of the storm, really casting some strong winds. This is looking at atmospheric river potential. This is the GFS right here. Let's look at the European as well. You can see there is some orange here for some Cat 4, AR River 4 here along the Washington, Oregon coast, even Cat 5 still existing across the South Oregon coast there down towards Brookings there. And you can see here, strong here shown here. To get to extreme, you have to be a little bit strong with the vapor transport. But you can see the duration here. The duration matters as well as much moisture as you're transporting into the region here. So it's a combination of both that gives us this atmospheric rating scale here. And we do have some 4 and 5 potential, especially along the Oregon coast shown there. there. This also exists all the way down the California coast there. This would be mostly beneficial down towards California, of course. But with the new snowpack here across Washington, BC, and Oregon here, and we're bringing this heavy precipitation, and we have to watch for some flooding concerns here across Pacific Northwest. So yeah, anyway, strong winds going on right now. You probably are aware of that if you're up there and along the coastline here. Watch out for this frontal system. It should be moving through the Puget Sound by the time I release this right now. And do not travel across the passes if you can avoid it there. That is going to be some freezing rain potential up there. Eastern Washington could be a skating rink by later on today as well as that precipitation moves over there. And hopefully we're going to be scouring this cold air out of that northern Willamette area there, as it still remains below freezing for some areas down there. So anyway, yeah, I hope you guys are having a good Christmas Eve and Christmas. Thanks to all my new subscribers out there. Yeah, we survived that ice storm yesterday. I won't soon forget that. You guys probably saw what happened to my car after I parked it there in the videos. It's gone viral there on the internet and everything. Looks like the Weather Channel's been showing it as well. So anyway, we'll do this again tomorrow, and we will look at that windstorm. We'll try to get some model consolidation on where this thing is going to set up. We've got flooding potential. We've got high snow levels. We've got damage to our snowpack coming across the Cascades of BC, Washington, Oregon coming up here. Freezing rain for Eastern Washington. Just a crazy time. What a crazy winter so far. And yeah, and if we do get a break, I just like to say I still have been working on the windstorm projects. I know that got kind of put on the back burner here since we got so much crazy weather coming into the region here, but I am still working on those. Those will get released eventually. And I'm also doing some Arctic, going over some of the biggest Arctic blasts in the history of the Pacific Northwest as well. We'll do a series on that also. But anyway, hope you guys are having good holidays, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.